Sup shitters, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to SB Interviews where today I will be chatting to... Sorry to interrupt everyone, this is post-processing editing Spiderhands here. I wasn't happy with how I did this specific part of the intro so I'm redoing it. So what I meant to say here was, and today I'll be chatting to a chap named Jake Oulton who is a musician who over the last few months has been releasing some really dope tunes. If we switch over to here, we have him on the screen. Feel free to introduce yourself, Jake.
How's everybody doing? My name is Jake Oulton, and it's a pleasure to be here.
And how would you describe the music and who you are as a musician?
Myself as a musician, it's kind of a self-taught thing. It wasn't something that I necessarily thought I was going to be doing. I'm more of a farm kid, and it just kind of spent enough time in tractors and listening to music and have a wide variety that I've been exposed to, obviously, growing up, and my parents being into music and whatnot, just... not necessarily playing music, but being people that listen to a lot of different genres. And I just picked up a lot from that. And it was always just something that internally I felt was what I was supposed to do, I suppose. So it's been something that I've been working at quietly for a long time.
Nice. That's awesome. And was there a particular age where it started? How did you get introduced to music?
I mean, it's kind of just been since birth in that sense. It's never been something that was, something that I went after particularly on purpose. It was more so just something that the course of my entire life so far has always kind of been right there and been something that I've been interested in and wanted to pursue or but wasn't really sure how to. And so to say where it started, I mean, it was singing in front of the computer before anybody got home after school when I was a little kid, or even before that.
That's fantastic. That's nice. Because what kind of music are you into personally?
I mean, a lot of different genres. It really, when I was younger, it was more country and stuff like that, like Justin Timberlake and Jay-Z and obviously Lil Wayne and all those rappers and whatnot. But to stray away from country. But as a little kid, it was Garth Brooks and Carrie Underwood and whatnot. And so it's kind of everything mixed together, even right now, it's everything. It's, from the Eagles to Eminem to Lord knows what.
Because how do you consolidate Eagles and the Eminem into the music that you make?
I feel like it's more of a style, it's this. I'm not saying that I am either of those. Those are obviously amazing, all of them amazing musicians, but it's the sound, when I say one end of it to the other, I feel like that kind of transpons into my music with it. Just the sounds that it is. I mean, it's obviously more of a rap. I don't know how to say a rap sound and form of music, less so as many live instruments to the sense of I don't know. It's more rap music that I'm making, but to me the sound is more of an old school sound on some of it. Life on the Highway in particularly, it's just more of an older rock and roll kind of beat, but modernized, I guess would be how I would put that. And I feel like the mix of everything really comes out in my music as things go on.
No, that's absolutely fair enough. Do you feel that there's value to being able to be flexible with the types of genres of music that you work with?
Yeah, I think that really speaks for musicians. I mean, people praise, guys like Tyler, the Creator, for being able to do a lot of different stuff and be able to kind of adapt themselves and put themselves on any kind of beat or any kind of sound and work with it. And I feel like that's a huge part of it. Not that there isn't, great parts or great pieces to one type of music, but being able to apply yourself to all types of music is, in my mind, awesome. And to me, it speaks to true musician.
See, because I was reading that you've written 140 songs or something like that. How do you manage that workload?
To be completely honest with you, a lot of sleepless nights. It's not really something that happens easily. It's not something that was able to come to the surface by just kind of playing around with it. I used to work as a car salesman actually a few years ago, and I did that for 3 or 4 years. And through the time that I did that, I really would pretty much guarantee myself one night a week that I was going to stay up all night and work and then go to work the next morning. And which really sucked. It definitely took a toll, but a lot of good music came out of it, and it really taught me how to write, learning how to write, and getting through, learning how to flow words properly, I guess, and writing how I wanted it to sound more so than, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm really making a lot of sense with that.
No, it's fine. I'm just listening. It pays to it pays to listen to people when you're interviewing them.
Well, I was just gonna say, like the way that happened was a lot of sleepless nights and a lot of work. It was just nothing more than that, and nothing less. I'm really appreciative of obviously the way that the work is paying off and the amount of streams and whatnot that are happening, and the amount of engagement that I'm getting. But to me, that speaks a lot of extra hours and a lot of time spent doing things outside of regular work life.
Yeah, because I've got your Spotify up here, man. You have been getting a bit of attention. Like if I look here, like with you've got like five figure plays on like Owning Who I Am, Big Brain, Problem Child, and Rodeo and stuff like that. What do you think's the secret to that kind of success? Is it have you been doing lots of marketing, or do you feel the music's spreading via word of mouth, or?
I feel like it's a good mixture of both. From where I live, like I say, I used to do the car sale stuff, and so there was a lot of social media that came along with that as well. That kind of got my name out locally, which I'm very grateful for. And then besides that, the marketing online, like just trying to push things on Instagram and YouTube, and just trying to get myself out there and get the music in front of people, obviously. But it's been to me like the numbers kind of see it as or I see the numbers that are coming back as they're paying off for not just the work and the ads, but people are obviously going from the ads and listening and not just skipping over them. And yeah, as numbers grow, I mean, numbers are growing quite quickly. And yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. It's an interesting position to be in. I never really expected myself to be where I am. I'm surprised by the amount of attention that things are getting, I guess would be the best way to put that. And I'm very grateful for it.
Because like nowadays when I interview musicians, occasionally I have musicians admit to me that they pay for listens. How do you sort of prove a sense of authenticity with what you're doing with your music so that people know that your music is that good?
More so just to like, I don't personally have the ability to do that. I'm not a very good tech person. I'm a farm boy at heart. And so like to be able to put myself in a position to, make that happen, I don't know how. I know how to create ads as far as Instagram and YouTube and Facebook, because that was where my marketing background came from with the car sales and whatnot. And otherwise, though, to pay for streams, I feel like that's just not really who I am, and that's just not really what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a legitimate fan base and people to actually be into the music. If nobody's into the music, nobody's into the music. I made the music for myself first. And that to me, that's just kind of the way that it should be. If it's not authentic, then it's not there, really.
That's exactly, the authenticity is important. And if you're not writing, yeah, exactly. If you're not writing music for yourself, who are you writing it for?
Precisely. And for me, it's always been kind of like a game back and forth of like the writing, my own writing, and increasing my writing skills and being able to get the thoughts out. And so to me, if the music gets better as that writing gets better, and as I get better at putting the thoughts to paper, then that's kind of what I'm after. I'm not just after a sales slogan.
No, that's dope. That's cool. Because like considering that the music is more of a service, a way of what would you say your music is in terms of the messaging, the stories behind it? Is it a way of like, what are your songs about?
I mean, truthfully, it's a lot of it is about like, well, it completely depends on the song, because that's the other thing too. Is I mean, the public and yourself would really be only aware of what I have out, which is like 7 or 8 songs. Meanwhile, I have, like I say, like I'm sitting on a stack of 100 to 150, or really about 150 now. That to me is kind of a new thing, or not a new thing, but like something else to consider, because the music changes all the time. And so for most of it, I guess it's more so like trying to be motivational. I think a lot of it's been trying to like get my own feet under me and talk, the conversations that I'm having with myself while that happens. And some of it too is just like, it's people call it a vibe. You just feel the music and whatever the beat kind of seems like, or if there's a sample with a beat, then you're right off of that and the ideas that come along with that. But yeah, like as far as my music and what it's about, it's really been kind of trying to give myself a kick in the butt to make things move forward and get better at or be the better me and do the things that I want to do and speak on that, I guess. And like and too, like pain, like obviously we all go through things, and a lot of my music as well, a lot of stuff that isn't released is stuff that's, I wouldn't say personal to me, and it's not that it won't be released, but that's where it came from. There's personal experiences and the way that made me think.
Because how do you decide how do you decide on on which songs get released?
Mostly like, truthfully, I kind of like bounce them off my friends and my family and think about them, because to me, if the message is there and the flow and rhythm and stuff is there, then that's kind of what dictates whether or not a song goes out. And, whether the writing is there and the sound, like there's songs that are, I would say like finished songs that may not ever see anything or may not see the light of day just because they're not really where I want them to be. It took me a long time to kind of realize what I considered done with a song, and as far as like how everything flowed together and how the way the song worked, that kind of took a long time to establish. And so having established that, once I'm, it's a kind of almost an internal feeling of knowing that a song's done. Yeah, I don't know how else to dab on, or to dabble on that.
No, it's okay. It must be exciting though, because if you look at it in the long term, if you've got all that music that you're sitting on, what is your next release looking like?
Well, actually, like there's quite a few. I mean, I'm kind of debating. I'm going to put a few more singles out, and then I'm debating whether or not to put together an EP or an album, because we have so much finished material that I don't really want to wait forever to put out. But at the same time, as an independent artist, it's easier to market one song at a time and get people's attention that way. It's kind of a different way of thinking now, but like not that albums and EPs aren't worth it by any means, but to get a crowd's attention and give people an opportunity to really hear the music for one song at a time, instead of trying to get them to absorb a whole album as a brand new artist, I feel like this is a lot easier for people to take in.
Yeah, because a lot of people talk about a singles economy, where like releasing a single like a once a month or something like that is a really smart move. Is that something that you're kind of considering? Or so as in like, how do you stage your releases? Like, are you going to do like a single once a month with this stuff, or do you want to wait more time and do other related parts? Or
no, I would prefer to like release a single once a week, to be honest. That's what my goal is right now.
Damn.
And the goal would be to release a single once a week for the next little while, and then I would really like to, if I could do that for the next 2 months or more, and then drop like an album or an EP, that'd be great. I'd really just want to get, when I say volume out there, I've got the music, I've been sitting on the music for long enough. I really want to get it out in front of people so that they can really take a listen and have more work to judge me from, or like to be able to look at it and make a decision on what to think about me as an artist. And in my opinion, the best way to do that is, while being able to keep people's attention by not overwhelming them with a bunch of music, is, at first anyways, is to drop singles for a little while. But yeah, like once a month isn't really what I'm aiming for. It's more like once a week.
No, fair enough, because there's a lot of competition out there. And it's a shitty thing to say, right? Lots of competition, as if you're fighting against a million other musicians, but you're basically trying to keep people's attention. That's the name of the game at the moment, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a competitive industry. It's the music industry. It's a massive industry, and there's a lot of really good musicians out there. So to be able to make myself stand out, I feel like for one, I have to prove that I'm putting in the work, and yeah, have a lot of content to be able to put out, to be able to kind of talk, or show the work to back the talk.
So like, how do your songs get written and produced? Like, how do you actually make the music itself?
Well, to be honest, there's like a shed on my parents' front yard, which it's not like a shed, but it's more or less a shed. It's an old bunkhouse. We live on an old farm. And I have, like, when I say a little studio set up there, I just have like a little desk and my mic, obviously, and laptop and everything. And it gets pretty cold out there. It's pretty hard to work out there in the wintertime. But it's basically just ideas. Like I'll hear beats, or I'll hear beats, a beat, and sentences will start to kind of come to me, and then I'll work off of that. So like sometimes it's an idea. There's been a handful of songs really that have been like a one-liner or a word that's been stuck in my head or something that just fit. And I like wrote around that to when I finally found the beat that fit it. But for the most part, it's just like I sit down and write a song. And once I figure out a hook, then it's obviously filling in verses. But typically when I sit down and write, I'll figure my hook out, I'll lay my hook out, and then I'll write around the hook.
No, it actually sounds like you've got a really good setup. I mean, a lot of people tend to overcomplicate the production process. They have like a million different plugins, and they get all those different bits of equipment and stuff that's sort of superfluous potentially to the needs. Like, how is your approach to getting everything set up?
Well, it literally is like I say, it's simple. I just have a laptop, microphone, and I use my phone and notes. And I have obviously like a little board to run the microphone through to the laptop. And so I'll like write everything at home as simply. When I say simply, I mean like it's recorded very simply at home. And then once I get that down pat at home, there's a fella in Halifax that I work with called the Basement Halifax, Josh Kelly, and I go there and record it. And him and we built a really good rapport over the last year, and so he helps me mix and master things. And yeah, he's been hugely like teaching me so much stuff. So going there has been hugely beneficial to me, just because, like I say, I'm not a huge tech guy. I don't really, for some reason, it's something I find difficult to apply myself to, and so he's really bridged the gap there for me.
Look, honestly, man, it's kind of boring. It's kind of boring figuring out a lot of that stuff. I mean, especially if you're more passionate about the writing process and the performing process, you know what I mean? Like, do you find there's value in finding experts who know about stuff specific to your needs?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that especially when it comes to Josh, or like, being in the studio, I obviously enjoy the writing side of it the most, and building the songs, but having the relationship that I do with my producer has allowed us, so when we get in the studio, really sit down and figure the songs out. There's instruments that are added, or sounds that are added, or maybe that needs another verse or another layer of something. It's I agree with you in the sense of, like, when I said, I don't know if I would call it boring, and more so confusing, but it's really been interesting learning how to do a lot of that stuff, or at least understand how it's done, and to add more to the music, if that makes sense.
No, that's totally fine. I was just thinking, yeah. I mean, I did a diploma in audio engineering and music production, and some of the stuff I honestly fell asleep with, dude. Some of the physics stuff especially kind of sucks. Which is why it's good to find people who've already done that and who are really passionate about it, you know?
Like, not overcomplicating it, just like taking the sound that's there. And like, I'm not huge into, running over all my vocals with auto-tune and stuff. I really think that instead I would rather push myself to be vocally there, and grow vocally. So it's kind of like you say, it's simplified, but like having somebody who knows knows everything inside and out, so that we can do it simply and get the sound that we want. Really, it's made a huge difference in really even my confidence to make the music, just because I know the things that I can't perfect at home, we can figure them out here, or figure them out at the studio, and really make something.
So I like what you've said about not wanting to sort of rely on autotune and stuff like that. Does that mean you're a militant perfectionist, or are you one of those people who want a more authentic take, even if there's a few kind of goofs in there that are still passable?
Yeah, I'm okay with a few goofs. I feel like the more authentic that it is, and if it's not perfect, then that's okay. Like, it doesn't. Obviously, we strive to be perfect in that sense, and like vocally, I do my best. But if it's not, I'm not a perfectionist. No, I care a lot, and I do my best to make it as good as I possibly can. But I don't. It's not something that I necessarily stress about. Like, if it's, as long as it's good music and it sounds good, then what else is there to worry about?
No, I mean, like, to clarify, I've listened to some of your music before doing this interview. I've listened to Burn, I've listened to Woman Like You, and I listened to the 1111 EP and stuff like that. And I think your vocals are great. It's just, I don't know about you, but I feel there's a strength to having that sense of humanity within a vocal performance that can be lacking some days in modern production.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Absolutely. I'm not sure how to touch on that, though. I mean, as I said, like, I'm a farm kid that just started doing this. So when it comes to the knowledge of how to use your voice and everything, that's only stuff that I'm just becoming familiar with. It's something that I'm just learning how to do.
Yeah, because, I mean, the thing with voices are weird things that we've managed to do a lot with over the last 50 years especially. You hear some really wild stuff with vocal production nowadays, but, like, I suppose, how did you learn to rap? How did you learn to get the flow that you do nowadays?
Truthfully, freestyling with my buddies. Like, it was just, when we were younger, it was a thing that I'll never forget the day that it started. There was a friend of mine was literally laying on the floor with his feet against the wall, and like a commercial came on, and he just started going. And I had only met this guy a few months before, and I didn't know this was something that he could do. And yeah, he just started freestyling, and it blew my mind. And for multiple years afterwards, like, I'd be driving by myself, and I would just like continue to try and continue to try, and I'd try and give up. I would try and leave it alone, but I just couldn't for some reason.
You got the bug, didn't you? You got the bug for it.
Really bad. Internally, I knew I had to figure it out, and so obviously that kind of transpired into this. But yeah, like the rapping really just started from, hanging out with friends, and as I got older, like hanging out and drinking with friends and freestyling. That was just where it started. And from there, I grew mentally it grew to a place where I could like really freestyle. And then that kind of transpired into pushing myself to really put that to paper and, expand my vocabulary and talk about real things and put to form songs, obviously.
Do you still connect with those mates and do freestyle stuff nowadays, or?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely still something that happens. We actually just had a friend's birthday there last weekend, and we got in a little bit of trouble. We had a hotel room, and we got in trouble late hours for freestyling.
But you're not a real musician unless you get punished, like get told off in a hotel for doing music, right? That's the musician way of doing things, right?
Yeah, I mean, we try to be as respectful as humanly possible, but we all get in a little bit of trouble every now and again.
Well, what is the music scene like where you live at the moment?
Well, so I'm in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and which is like on the east coast of Canada, obviously. And yeah, things here are kind of ramping up. There's a lot of new musicians coming out and a lot of young musicians. And now that COVID's slowing down, there's definitely a lot more live shows going on. And yeah, in the city, especially, like there's a few, I wouldn't say like nightclubs, but there's like clubs and stuff opening that kind of promote new music or local music and give local people an opportunity to perform. But otherwise, like, I mean, big artists here that are kind of like in the rap game that are, front page kind of stuff is really classified. And there aren't any, but that's the big name from around here. So the music industry is huge from around here, but the rap thing is kind of a little bit smaller here, I would say.
So if the rap thing is smaller, what kind of musicians are the main thing over where you are?
I mean, there's a lot of folk music here. It's all coastal stuff, and folk music would really be the way to put it, and country music too. Yeah, I don't know how else to. I shouldn't say I don't know how else to, but that's really what a majority of it is. If you go to a pub or anything, then that's more or less what you're gonna hear is country or folk music.
Do you like have a place where you can perform your kind of music?
Yep, there are places in Halifax. Around here, as far as I'm just outside of Halifax. I'm close to Halifax. And I say that I've been in Halifax because that's easier. But where I'm at, which is Wolfville, there's quite a bit of venues around here, but it's kind of promote yourself and get people in, obviously. There's nowhere to necessarily go, and the crowd's already going to be there. Not locally anyways, but I feel like that is definitely something that's growing, and obviously COVID's put a huge damper on that, but it's something that's going to come back around as time goes on.
Yeah, because that's been the wild thing. You guys have had it rough over the last couple of years, but hearing that things are coming back is a little bit surreal.
Yeah, it really is. We at one point there was a lull here, and we were able to have some live shows, so we did do 2 live shows here at home. And when that was, we didn't really expect there to be another wave here. But when we were able to perform, it was obviously great because it's, every time you're able to do something like that, you get your name out, you get the music out a little bit farther. And but like you say, like hearing that things are kind of slowing down or that we're able to kind of go back to a normal life is surreal. It's something that has been majorly missed and definitely hard on musicians.
Yeah, like how do you think that your direction is going to change now with things opening up as a career musician?
Like I talked about getting singles out, I really think that my goal would be to get more singles out and quickly, and that way I can start getting booked in for shows or trying to get booked in for shows, and at a bare minimum putting my own on if I have to. And just because like small town stuff, you gotta kind of start somewhere. And but yeah, getting more stuff out so that I can have a full set. I would really like to be able to go on tour or go at a minimum and play shows locally and be able to put on a full night event. I don't want to, or at least, a couple hours. That would be my goal. Because with what I have out to the public right now, I've only got, like we talked about, like 7 or 8 songs out. And I really would like to have enough to be able to go on for hours.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's great. I mean, like, would you consider collaborating with other artists in the area?
Yeah, absolutely. So I meant to mention that actually. My good friend Jonah is the other guy on Burn and Woman Like You. So both of those songs, he goes by Joey M. And on both songs, he's the opening verse. And yeah, we have like it definitely, absolutely. There aren't, because I've kept this so quiet as time's gone on, and it was something that like I really had to put in a lot of time behind the scenes to see if it was something that I was confident enough in putting out. That kind of not stricken me, but it kind of stopped me from getting in touch with as many artists as I probably could have had I been more open about it through all this time. So with where I'm at now, it's kind of the people that are around me that are into it and want to do it, and we're openly working together as we speak.
Do you feel that the respectable amount of success that you're having through the digital streaming platforms will incentivize people though to collaborate with you?
Yes, but I more so hope that it's because of the music. I hope that my writing skills kind of are what speak for that. I hope that the numbers speak for the writing skills, and that if people want to collaborate, which I'll more or less collaborate with anybody, I just want to make good music. But I hope that it's because of the style and the adaptability that draws people.
Definitely, because I was just thinking you were mentioning how like needing the extra time might have been not ideal for getting in touch with as many musicians, and I was just thinking as you were saying that because you've actually had that level of reach and stuff like that, other musicians is like oh yeah, the music's good, and people are listening to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, precisely. It's kind of one can't go without the other, but at the same time it can. It's just like I'm glad that I'm very appreciative of the platform that I have already for the short amount of time the music's been out, and or like my music's been out, and yeah, I hope that along with the work that's been put in the past and the work that's continuing to go in really is what attracts people to the music and to hopefully collaborate.
Because like, when did you actually start? When was your first song released?
I believe it was December 21st. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I dropped the EP, or actually, I released Life on the Highway on December 21st, and or maybe it was November. I think it was the beginning of November. I think the EP was actually released December 21st, and that the song Life on the Highway was released in the beginning of November.
Damn, you've only been doing this for a few months.
Yeah, yeah. And I admit to like at home, I've had a huge help from just local people like sharing my stuff and helping get me out there.
Dude, that's the dream situation. That's like legitimately a really good place to be. Not many people have that local support.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And like I said, with the jobs that I worked in the past, it allowed me to get in front of a lot of people and build a fair bit of good rapport. And that's definitely paying off for me now. I wasn't quite sure where car sales is going to take me, but it seems that especially my older clientele, they love to support.
Did you kind of have this planned out from the beginning that you were going to work your way in? Oh no, you just said you weren't sure. You just wish it. So you've just had this kind of attitude of treating people well, and it's kind of paid off, right?
Or doing my best to. Like that, and it was never really like try and get here. It was always kind of like internal, like this hopefully is something that I'm able to make happen and get good enough at. So now that it's here and to the point that I trust it enough to put it out publicly, it is, yeah, like huge to have the support and obviously trying to, like I said, build good rapport, and to the point that people are willing to support me, that obviously means a lot to me as well.
Nice. I mean, are there things that you've learned from releasing these singles that you'd like to improve? Like, not that I think there necessarily needs to be improvements, but are there things you would like to improve on for future releases?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just being more prepared. This is obviously the first time that I've really been through all of this and continue to learn as we're moving forward. And so as far as the, like how to promote this stuff, who to promote it to, cover photos kind of go best with the song, just the whole 9 yards of it. I feel like it's something that's, it's like a trade. They say that you need 10,000 hours to be a red seal in any kind of trade. And I feel like this is kind of the same thing. And marketing on its own. The music and the writing is one thing, but the marketing as well. You can't really have one without the other.
No, absolutely. Because I've noticed that your single art your art is really good. Who did you get to work on that stuff?
Kind of a mixture of people. It's been, to be honest, my mom's helped me with a good amount of it, and my friend, or like Jonah as well, Joey Mack. He's done a fair bit of it, and Anthony as well. I forget what Anthony's last name is, but yeah, Anthony.
No, it's okay. Anthony will know who he is. That'll be fine.
He's from Anthony from Music Promo. I forget his last name. I apologize, Anthony.
It's okay. I'm sure Anthony will understand. You talk. You probably talk. Like, what is your circle of people involved with the project at the moment?
Well, like obviously my friends and Music Promo Today, which is Anthony is Music Promo Today, and outside of that, like Josh, my producer, and that's really it. It's kind of a small circle, trying to keep things cleaned up, I guess, in the sense of not having too many hands in the cookie jar. Trying to figure out what to do and what the best options to go forward with are.
No, fair enough. Because I suppose, like, in regards to the actual distribution of the material itself, are you happy continuing to be an independent artist? Are you wanting to start your own independent label, or would you like to get signed by another one at some point?
I'm not really. All of the above, I guess. I'm interested to see what the experience is in all directions. I really like the idea of being an independent artist the whole way through, just because then I have control over all my own stuff. And to be signed to a label, I feel like there may not be any restrictions, but any restrictions that there might be, it would be kind of something that would bother me, I think, if I couldn't put music out or anything like that. However, I'm definitely open to it. I mean, like we discussed, the music industry is a very large industry, and if you're lucky enough to get noticed to that extent, then it might not be a bad idea to get yourself out there and go with a label for a while. But it all really depends on the opportunity, I suppose.
I mean, like, in your position, you're in an interesting one, because you're making great music. It's like it's not just great music, but it's also marketable. Like, if people get shown it, they'll listen to it and they'll like it, right? So you would probably get an offer from a label at some point if you continued. Would you feel comfortable with like what kind of situation? Would it be just promotion, or would you be willing to tolerate a 360 deal? What kind of stuff related to that?
Realistically, just promo, I think. Like, promo is really all that I'm after. The rest of it is, like I say, I don't want it to be something that's restrictive. I want to be able to put out my music. And within putting out my music, I need help getting it out. And if that was going to be the situation that I was in, that would be the best case scenario as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, at the moment, you've got 17K monthly listens on Spotify alone, right? And I know that I'm approaching this from a numbers perspective and everything like that. It's just because my brain is already like, all right, he's already a great musician. So that's already like an established thing. You know what I mean?
Funny you say that, bring that up, just because with everything that went on with Spotify, we lost a lot. We were almost to 50,000 monthly listeners. And we were like, I think, just over 15,000 followers as well. And then when everything happened with Spotify, we lost a really good chunk of the following.
I mean, I think I know what you're talking about. Can you clarify the thing that happened at Spotify?
Joe Rogan.
Cool. Yeah.
When that happened, things took a dive. But I mean, just got to keep on going. What do you do? Yeah,
it's a shame. I think this is like a totally safe thing for me to say, because I try not to have opinions on Joe Rogan and stuff. And because, it's not about Joe Rogan, it's about your music, right? It sucks when people like yourself, who are just trying to have a place in the industry, it sucks when you get affected by the stuff that's out of your control, eh?
Yeah, it does. And I mean, like, it's kind of part of any business, as any person that's in any trade or any business at all. Not that music is a business, but when it's something that you're trying to make your lifestyle and trying to make your business, then obviously there's going to be setbacks, and this is just one of them. And it's hard enough for musicians as it is, and but I feel like that's just kind of the way that it goes. I mean, it sucks to be affected by it, but everybody else was affected by it too, and that's just how this stuff works. I mean, you got to continue to put one foot in front of the other, and truthfully, like you said, like, it's about the music and not Joe Rogan. But and not that I don't pay any attention to that stuff, but like I don't. I wasn't even really aware of what happened until it became news. Like, it's stuff like that is, for myself personally, I'm too concentrated on the work and trying to improve what I'm doing to, and improve the music, to waste time worrying about stuff that I don't have any control over.
No, that's absolutely fair enough. That's a great attitude to have. I mean, how do you do like I see you've got the hoodie on, the Jake Oulton merch. Do you do
Yeah.
like merchandise sales and other kind of stuff online?
So currently we are trying to get set up to do that. It's more so just like a typical artist in the first wave of things, getting everything ironed out. But this was kind of a run through that we did. So our first two shows, we had hoodies and hats that we sold at the shows, and so they were kind of a select thing. But we're going to be getting more stuff going on, and I'm hoping to, like, my website's up and running, and it's just jakeoulton.com. But yeah, the goal is to have gear on there and have merch available to people.
Sweet. No, I love it. Do you think you'd do like I mean, obviously CDs are a tricky thing nowadays. It's kind of weird to think about that. Would you do like vinyl and that kind of stuff, or are there any other options you're looking at?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, it's not the first thing that I'm worried about as far as that goes, but definitely something that as time goes on, I would love to. I think that would be awesome. And two, like, there's, depending on obviously like the whole copyright side of things, there's some old classics that I would absolutely love to redo, and something like that would be a great piece. Some stuff that would be great to put on a piece of art like that. Do an old vinyl with a couple of old records on it and some of my new stuff.
Damn, man, you seem like you have it all sorted.
Definitely not. But I mean, it's just, everybody's trying to figure it out. And this is something that I've been thinking about for a long time. So I guess, to be honest, now that I'm being asked the questions, I have a lot more answers than I thought that I was going to, because most of the time it's up in the air for me as to what's going to happen next or what we're going to do next. And there's obviously some kind of a plan going forward, but long term, I kind of question what's going to happen too. So all I can do is keep putting in the work and figuring out as you go.
I mean, like, do you have moments where you can just sit and think about the way things are going, like in a balanced way, like, or is it just really full bore a lot of the time?
It's just full bore all the time. I mean, like, like between the music and the work life that I lead outside the music, it's just wide open constantly. And like any musician, I've got side work that keeps me busy too. And it's just how that stuff works. So no, not necessarily. It's just full bore all the time right now, which in my opinion, if you really want to try and get ahead or get stuff going on for yourself, then that's the only way to have it. Just run with your head down and see what happens.
Good on you, man. Good on you, Jake. That's awesome. I have a lot of respect for your work ethic, and it appears to be paying off, which is good. What's one of the biggest lessons you've learned during your journey so far?
So far, that probably to be honest, the music industry is very difficult to navigate. Finding people to work with that I was able to really get to a finished product, or that everybody was on the same page throughout, or even in the beginning, like just trying to get a producer to listen to my music and to give me any kind of tips to go forward. I felt like as a new musician, or like as somebody that nobody had any idea of, it was just very hard to get anybody to take it seriously. And that was probably the biggest lesson too, was like, in my opinion, the only way to really get people's attention was to kind of continue to work at them and to just try and be humble. But I don't try and push my music on anybody, and you know what I mean? Like, it's not something that I want to shove in people's faces. So that's been like another difficult thing, and like a learning curve, was how do you not shove it in people's faces, but try to gain their support and get people to work with you. Yeah, that was a huge hill to climb, and one that I'm still figuring out.
Oh, that's the $1 million question. No, it's finding that equilibrium. Have you developed a BS detector? Do you feel you're getting better at finding the right people and getting the right connections and all that?
Yeah, I think that as far as with what I'm trying to do currently, which is get the music out, get the music finished, and not get the music finished, but like, finalize the stuff that I have done and get it out. Within that, there's kind of stuff that I don't know, has slowed me down, or I don't know how. I guess I'm not sure how to say what I'm trying to say.
It's okay. We got time. It's all good. Basically, do you feel as if you've gotten better at finding the right people to work with and navigating those difficulties with people and the conditions of the industry.
Yeah, my brain drew a blank there for a second. To be completely honest with you, it's more so like becoming more self-dependent within some of the stuff, learning how to do some of it yourself. And but otherwise, like, yeah, it's definitely I feel like it's definitely there's weaknesses and strengths to that stuff, and I've been definitely trying to get better at them. I don't know how much better I've gotten, but yeah, I think that it is something that I've grown with and been able to adapt to.
Nice. Well, I'm proud of you, man. That's awesome. Like, I guess is the penultimate question for today, because I feel like we covered a lot. Was there any other stuff you wanted to talk about?
Not necessarily. I would definitely like to give people a huge shout outs and thank everybody that's been supporting me. But you know, when it comes to just where this has gone, I can't believe it. I'm amazed that people are really giving this a chance, and I'm really, really thankful. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot more music on the way, but otherwise, I'm not too sure what there is to talk about. This is the first time I've ever done this.
Well, hey, you did well. I mean, where do you see yourself? What's your end goal?
Oh, my end goal would definitely be to be, you know, on stage and across the world. That would be the goal. I want to be absolutely everywhere. Yeah, that's really the end goal, is to be on stage and be traveling the world and be, you know, be a musician. When I say be a musician, for that to be my my number one purpose. Well, I was just gonna say, and too, like the message of the music. I feel like a lot of my music is there's good message in it to get, you know, under people's skin and get them worked up and get them motivated and or to feel pain. So I feel like it's music that people should hear, and you know, up or down, it's good both ways.
Fantastic. And I guess before we say our goodbyes today, where can people find your music and other related things?
Literally everywhere. It's obviously like Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, SoundCloud, Amazon. It's literally everywhere. There shouldn't be a platform that you can't find me on.
Well, Jake, thank you very much for coming in today for the interview. It was a pleasure to chat to you, and I wish you the best of luck in future.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on, and hopefully we'll be talking to you in the future.
Cheers. See you later.
See you later.
And that effectively was my interview with Jake Oulton. Fantastic chap to chat to. I had a great time hearing him out, learning more about his music. I really need to fix the lighting in this camera. It looks like I'm shooting a spooky film. My camera is also running out of battery right now. This is a double bad time. But the interview was a great time. I had a great time chatting to Jake. It was a more succinct chat than I usually do, primarily because I just think Jake really, he's just a class act, and he's got everything ticked, even if he doesn't feel as if he's got everything sorted at the moment. I'm sure he'll get there. But if you enjoyed listening to Jake chat about his music and his career, please do go check out his various social medias and his Spotify page, and I think his website as well. Stay cool and stay safe, and please also remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I will catch you in the next interview. Spider hands up.